Okay. Hey everybody, it is another School of 5D Great Awakening learning session. This is the third video in the how-to series. And we did how to meditate and then how to start a revolution, and we talked about crystals and the Pleiadians. And now we are going to learn how to raise our consciousness and expand our consciousness, raise our frequency, and expand our awareness. And I think these are pretty hot topics, very important to people, as many channelers or people who are part of the conscious revolution, or people who call themselves light workers, or maybe they're channeling the Pleiadians or the Arcturians, or maybe they're they're doing all kinds of interdimensional type of channeling of their higher selves. And a lot of times what they say is we are trying to raise the frequency of Earth. We are trying to raise our frequency. We are trying to be in a higher vibration. We want to raise our awareness or expand our awareness. And what does that really mean? Well, we have the problem. Why do we need to do that? Why isn't this something that happens naturally? Well, we've talked about that before too. We've talked about the fact that different beings, entities, and humans have put a lot of effort in our recent history, in our not so recent history, and our somewhat ancient history, and that has been to enslave us and to pull us out of our natural state. Now, there is a certain kind of Buddhism, and it's called Dzogchen, and you spell that D-Z-O-C-H-E-N. And if you look up Dzogchen and you look into that, and I did post the Bernzine archives in somewhere. There's quite a few different online Buddhist wisdom texts that I can link you to. But you know what? If you're really interested in Buddhism, then you'll find it. That's what. Anyways, in that particular avenue of exploring Buddhism, the natural state is emphasized. And many of the practices ask you to try and bring yourself into that natural state. Well, you know what? When your body's full of chemicals, and I don't care what you're eating or what you're doing, because you're still breathing in the exhaust fumes, you're still in a purposefully created electromagnetic field with these lights and electricity and so on, that are shifting you always out of your natural state, out of your natural evolution of your consciousness, the natural raising of your vibration, and the natural expansion of your awareness. So what do we do? What do we do? Well, what we do is we look for things that are whole in our environment. And if they're not in our environment, then we bring them into our environment. And what we're looking for is something that has not been manipulated in any way whatsoever. Regardless of how precious an item might be to you, I want to point out something very interesting about material things. Everything that you have that you think has great value, well, it might have great material value, but it might have very little vibrational value, and it might be a separated consciousness, just kind of like we are separated from our natural level of consciousness. And our natural level of consciousness includes being able to communicate with the stars and a lot of other different things. And how we do that is we do that through something called yoga, which also has the definition of union. And so how now we're racing along here on this, and now we have something that is whole. Of course, this has been separated from its natural elements, this glass. But I want to remind you, while you're discerning in your world, and you're saying, well, this is natural, this is artificial. No, there's nothing artificial. Artificial doesn't exist. What does exist is separation. So once you take this rock that I found on the beach, which is in its natural state, and the only thing that has influenced its natural state is other elements in their natural state, like the water, the wind, and the air. I have an opportunity now that I don't have with this glass, although I could have it if I was a really awesome yogi, and I am. Yogini, excuse me. And that would be to now to raise my vibration. I'm trying to raise my vibration. That's what I'm trying to do. My vibration is not whole. It is not 100% what it is supposed to be, otherwise I wouldn't be trying to raise it. The vibration, of course, of this jasper stone, which doesn't matter what its name is, that I'm showing you right now, it's whole. It's happening. It's evolved exactly the way it ought to have. And in fact, as soon as I start to talk about it, it begins to zing my fingers with some energy. Is this magic? Am I crazy? Are you? No, it's called electromagnetic field. It's called, I'm not going to get into verifying stuff with, scientific terms and what the new scientists are coming up with. You know what? Whatever, okay? If I want to raise my vibration, then I'm going to spend time with this rock. And I'm going to do yoga with the vibration of this rock. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to clear my mind. I'm going to take some deep breaths, like the ones I taught you in the meditation video. And by the way, I forgot to say something really important in that, how to meditate. I was very clear about using your nose, and that all of your out breaths are going to go through your nose too. All right, please take note of that. And then I'm going to breathe with this thing that is vibrating highly. It doesn't have to try. It's not like me. And I'm going to put it into my palms so that it can access the eye of my palms, as I showed you in the How to Start a Revolution in Crystals and Pleiadians video. And I'm just going to hold that like this. Clear my mind and take some deep breaths and try and use the rest of my senses besides my intellect, besides my reasoning, to communicate, absorb information, absorb the vibration, and thusly raise my vibration via this rock that didn't cost me anything. At the same time, excuse me, there are a variety of ways to find like an incredible rock like this, which is seriously an awesome rock. And so is this one. You know, this is another rock that I found, and it's a very pearly pink quartz. And then here we have basalt, which I've answered questions about before. It is smooth. It is totally black. It is has a very, very strong magnetic field. And again, you can look it up. You can look up you can Google basalt, BASALT, magnetic field, and it'll go, oh, it's off the charts compared to other things. And then you can take another rock like this, which I found, which is probably, I don't know if you can see that this is probably a petrified piece of coal. I also have found petrified wood. Now, once I have mastered, shall we say, coming into union with the vibration of this whole perfected vibration of this stone. It's all of its electromagnetic fields and the story that these vibrational fields have to tell. Let me take another rock that I've done that with, and I can join their fields because there is a union between me and each one of these rocks, and then an energetic union will happen between these rocks, and they will create a vibration that is something that you can experience and feel. Now, video sucks, okay? And you, if you really want to learn how to do this, how to literally, and with an effect you can perceive, experience the raising of vibration or coming into a yogic union of awareness with a flower, a plant, a rock, a tree. Why do all of the channelers, when they're finished channeling, they say, and so really, in order for you to blah blah blah, you need to connect with the earth, you need to connect with nature. Well, this is the video that kind of tells you specifically why and how. That's because these are whole perfected vibrations. And how do you come to expand your awareness? Well, it all goes back to the yogic practices of clearing your mind and getting rid of your ego identifications. Forget about your name. Forget about the fact that if you're a woman, you're either a sister, a mother, a daughter. These are all different kinds of labels to name something that is irrelevant to what I'm telling you. So because as well, to refer back to the how to meditate video, I explained that when we go into meditation, we're leaving the physical and we are igniting our electric body or our light body. And in this case, when we're trying to raise our vibration, we're also trying to do that, and the auric fields, the non-physical aspects of this rock also are intact and in perfection. So when you release yourself from the confines of the descriptions that comprise who you tell yourself you are, who you tell other people you are, and who people tell you are, you'll be able to be what you actually naturally are. The rock doesn't need to have a name, you know, to be what it is. Think about that carefully. Now, there are so many other ways for you to connect with nature, as they say. I think that's a little bit general, and there's stargazing. How important is that? I guess it's pretty damn important, isn't it? Or I wouldn't be saying that. So, again, if you want to know something about the stars, I suggest that you lay down and look at them, gaze, and we talked about gazing before, and that is when you fix your eyes on an object and then you take in everything around it, but you keep your eyes fixed. And then I want you to use your method of travel. And the Buddhists call it mind travel. And we do it all the time. This is not a skill you need to practice. Sometimes you're thinking about the past. Your mind travels to the past. Sometimes you're thinking about what you can have for lunch. That's your mind traveling to the future. And when you lay down and you look at the stars, well, I just let your mind travel to the stars. Just put your mind up there, and a way, of course, to focus our intent, our vibration, our awareness is with this little mouthy thing we were given. Intent comes through the words and the sound, and speak to that star, speak to that plant, speak to your rocks, speak to your animal, speak to anything in your environment, speak to the blade of grass, speak to the ant, and watch what happens to you. I think that we have to speak about imagination. We have to take everything that you have, everything that strikes a chord with you. Yes, the dogs. Everything that strikes a chord with you. And that's a place on earth. That's the name of a crystal. That's something tweaks you. It tweaks you, and this is something you don't. It just seems pointless, and but this is something you should connect with, and this is something that's going to expand your awareness. And this might be something that's part of your past lives, and this might be something that's meant to influence you in a non-physical way. And so I want you to take that thing that fascinates you, and I want you to build a mind movie, and I want you to fill in the gaps. So let's say you see this like crazy sadhu, and he's sitting in front of this weird like tent he made, and he's like holding this like really groovy thing, and he looks like he's like, I'm so totally where I want to be. And you want to be there. You want to have the vibration of that thing you're looking at. That big giant cave full of crystals you saw the picture, and it's down in Mexico, and you're like, what F is that? Well, I want you to know that you have access to the vibration of that. You have access to the awareness of that. All you have to do is bring it into yours. How do you do that? Bring it in visually into your mind. How do you communicate with something that's just a thought or a picture you saw? Well, communicate with it. Begin to fill it in. Begin to vibrationally communicate. How do you vibrationally communicate? Well, I think I'm going to bring it back to the love relationship. Well, when you're in love with someone, you know how to communicate vibrationally. You seem like you can read each other's minds. Every move you make seems to be something you can feel from the other person. This is the ultimate relationship for you to have with everything that's in its natural state. This will allow you to engage the vibration of whatever it is, and to allow it to raise yours as well as your awareness. It is through the avenue of love that you expand your mind to include many things maybe you didn't before through this person you love. Well, get out there and start loving stuff. All right, that's it. Namaste. Namago.